Hey there, you looking kinda cute. Don't forget to subscribe and check out my other socials for more. Enjoy. Milo laced up his running shoes. He'd been meaning to start a morning routine for ages, but something always got in the way. Not today. Today was different. Stepping out into the crisp morning air, Milo took a deep breath. The neighborhood was quiet, save for the chirping of early birds. He stretched his legs, feeling the slight burn in his muscles. It had been too long since he'd exercised properly. As he set off down the sidewalk, Milo's mind wandered to the clothes tucked away in the back of his closet, the silky blouses, the flowing skirts, the delicate lingerie, his secret passion, hidden from the world. He shook his head, trying to focus on the rhythm of his feet hitting the pavement. About a mile into his run, Milo noticed another jogger approaching from the opposite direction. A woman with salt and pepper hair pulled back in a ponytail, her face flushed from exertion. As they passed each other, she gave him a friendly nod and a "morning." Milo returned the greeting, watching as she continued on her way. There was something about her that intrigued him, though he couldn't quite put his finger on it. The next morning, Milo was out again at the same time, and there she was, the woman with the salt and pepper hair. This time she slowed as she approached. 2 days in a row, she said with a smile. New to the neighborhood? Milo shook his head. No, just trying to get back into shape. I'm Milo. Barbara, she replied, extending her hand. Nice to meet you, Milo. Mind if I join you? And just like that, Milo found himself with a running partner. They fell into an easy rhythm, their footsteps synchronizing as they made their way through the quiet streets. So, what made you decide to start running? Barbara asked between breaths. Milo hesitated. He couldn't very well tell her the real reason, that he was trying to distract himself from his growing urge to dress in women's clothing. Just felt like it was time for a change, he said finally. Barbara nodded. I know that feeling. I started running after my divorce, needed something to keep me sane. They continued chatting as they ran, discovering they had quite a bit in common. Both worked in office jobs they found less than thrilling, both enjoyed cooking, and both had a secret love for cheesy romantic comedies. As the weeks passed, Milo and Barbara's morning runs became a regular fixture in their lives. They pushed each other to go further, run faster, and slowly, but surely, Milo found himself looking forward to their conversations as much as the exercise itself. One particularly muggy morning, as they paused to catch their breath at a park bench, Barbara turned to Milo with a mischievous glint in her eye. I've got a crazy idea, she said. How would you feel about running a marathon? Milo's eyes widened. A marathon? Barbara, we've only been running for a few months. I can barely make it 5 miles without wanting to collapse. She waved her hand dismissively. We've got plenty of time to train. And here's the best part. We could do it for charity. Raise money for breast cancer research. Milo hesitated. The idea was daunting, but he had to admit there was a certain appeal to it. I don't know. Oh, come on, Barbara prodded. It'll be fun. We can even dress up for it. I've seen people run marathons in all sorts of crazy costumes. At the mention of dressing up, Milo's heart skipped a beat. Could this be an opportunity to indulge his secret passion? He tried to keep his voice casual as he asked, What kind of costumes did you have in mind? Barbara shrugged. Oh, anything really. Superheroes, cartoon characters. I once saw a guy run an entire marathon dressed as Wonder Woman. Milo's pulse quickened. Wonder Woman, huh? That's interesting. Barbara studied him for a moment, then a slow smile spread across her face. Milo, she said carefully, is there something you want to tell me? He felt his cheeks flush. This was it, the moment of truth. Taking a deep breath, Milo decided to take the plunge. Barbara, I like wearing women's clothes. It's something I've done in private for years, but I've never had the courage to tell anyone. He braced himself for her reaction, half expecting disgust or ridicule. Instead, Barbara's smile widened. Oh, honey, she said, placing a hand on his arm. I had a feeling. The way your eyes light up whenever we pass a clothing store, the way you always notice what I'm wearing. I've suspected for a while." Milo felt a wave of relief wash over him. "You're not weirded out?" Barbara laughed. "Weirded out? Sweetie, I lived in San Francisco for 10 years. It takes a lot more than that to weird me out. In fact," she paused, her eyes twinkling, "what would you say to both of us running the marathon dressed as women?" Milo's jaw dropped. "Are you serious?" "Absolutely," Barbara nodded. "We could make it part of our fundraising pitch." "2 friends, 1 cause, lots of sequins. What do you say?" Milo felt a rush of excitement. This was beyond his wildest dreams. Not only was Barbara accepting of his secret, but she was encouraging him to embrace it publicly. I don't know what to say." "Say yes," Barbara urged. "Come on, Milo, let's do this." And just like that, Milo found himself agreeing to run a marathon in drag. The next few months were a whirlwind of training and preparation. Barbara proved to be an invaluable ally, helping Milo navigate the world of women's fashion and makeup. They spent weekends scouring thrift stores and boutiques for the perfect outfits. Milo discovered a love for floral print dresses, while Barbara gravitated towards sleek, form-fitting ensembles. They practiced walking in heels, perfecting their gaits until they could strut with confidence. As the day of the marathon approached, Milo's excitement was tinged with nervousness. What if people recognized him? What if they laughed or, worse, reacted with hostility? The night before the big day, as they were laying out their outfits, Barbara sensed his unease. "Hey," she said softly. "You okay?" Milo nodded, not quite meeting her eyes. "Just a little nervous, I guess." Barbara took his hand, giving it a reassuring squeeze. "Listen to me, Milo. Tomorrow you're going to put on that gorgeous dress and you're going to run 26.2 miles looking fabulous. And you know what? Anyone who has a problem with that can go take a flying leap. We're doing this for a good cause and we're going to have fun doing it." Her words bolstered Milo's confidence. He squeezed her hand back, grateful for her unwavering support. The morning of the marathon dawned bright and clear. Milo and Barbara met at her house to get ready. They helped each other with makeup and hair, giggling like schoolgirls as they transformed themselves. Milo had chosen a powder blue sundress with a sweetheart neckline and a flared skirt. He paired it with comfortable white sneakers decorated with glitter and ribbons. Barbara wore a slinky red number with a plunging back, her salt and pepper hair styled into an elegant updo. As they made their way to the starting line, Milo felt a mix of exhilaration and terror. People were staring, some with amusement, others with curiosity. But to his surprise, many approached them with words of encouragement and support. "You two look amazing! Love the outfits! Go get 'em, ladies!" The positivity was overwhelming. By the time the starting gun went off, Milo was grinning from ear to ear. The marathon itself was a blur of aching muscles, cheering crowds, and the constant swish of his skirt against his legs. Barbara stayed by his side the whole time, offering encouragement when he faltered and matching his pace when he found his second wind. As they approached the finish line, hand in hand, Milo felt a surge of emotions. Pride, joy, exhaustion, and an overwhelming sense of freedom. They crossed the finish line to thunderous applause, collapsing into each other's arms. "We did it," Barbara panted, her makeup smeared with sweat and tears. "We did it," Milo echoed, feeling like he could conquer the world. In the days that followed, Milo was surprised to find that his desire to dress in women's clothing hadn't diminished. If anything, the experience had only intensified it. He found himself longing for the feel of silk against his skin, the click of heels on hardwood floors. One morning, as they cooled down after their run, Milo broached the subject with Barbara. "I've been thinking," he said hesitantly, "about the marathon and everything else." Barbara raised an eyebrow. "Oh." I think I want to explore this part of myself more," Milo admitted. "But I don't know where to start." A slow smile spread across Barbara's face. "Well, my friend, you're in luck, because I happen to know just the place to start." and so began a new chapter in Milo's life. With Barbara's guidance, he began to explore the world of cross-dressing more openly. They went shopping together, Barbara teaching him the finer points of selecting clothes that flattered his figure. She showed him how to walk in heels without stumbling, how to apply makeup that enhanced his features without looking garish. Milo started small, wearing feminine undergarments beneath his work clothes. The secret thrill of lace against his skin made even the most mundane workday feel exciting. Gradually, he worked up the courage to wear more overtly feminine items around his apartment, flowing skirts, silky blouses, delicate jewelry. Barbara was there every step of the way, offering encouragement and advice. She helped him create a female persona, Mila, and practiced using feminine pronouns when they were alone together. "How does it feel?" Barbara asked one evening as Milo twirled in front of her full-length mirror, wearing an emerald green cocktail dress. Milo, or rather Mila, paused, considering the question. "It feels right," she said finally. "Like I'm finally being true to myself." Barbara beamed. "I'm so proud of you, honey. You've come so far." As Mila grew more confident in her feminine presentation, she began to document her journey. At first, it was just a private journal filled with thoughts and feelings about her experiences. But as time went on, she started a blog, sharing her story anonymously online. To her surprise and delight, the blog gained a following. Other cross-dressers and transgender individuals reached out, sharing their own stories and offering support. Mila found herself part of a vibrant, supportive community she never knew existed. One day, as they were cooling down after their morning run, Barbara turned to Milo with a twinkle in her eye. "So," she said casually, "I was thinking—" Milo groaned good-naturedly. "Oh no, last time you had that look, I ended up running a marathon in drag." Barbara laughed. "Nothing quite so dramatic this time. I was just wondering if you'd like to go out. As Mila, I mean." Milo's heart skipped a beat. "Out? Like, in public?" Barbara nodded. "There's a lovely little wine bar downtown, very trans-friendly. I thought it might be nice to have a girls' night out." The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Milo had become comfortable being Mila in the safety of his apartment or Barbara's house, but the thought of venturing out into the world was daunting. Still, the excited gleam in Barbara's eye was infectious. "Okay," he said finally, "let's do it." The next Saturday found Mila standing in front of Barbara's full-length mirror, hardly recognizing herself. She wore a sleek black dress that hugged her body, accentuated by a pair of strappy heels. Barbara had helped with her makeup, creating a smoky eye effect that made Mila's green eyes pop. "You look stunning," Barbara said, appearing behind her in the mirror. She was dressed in a deep purple wrap dress, her salt and pepper hair styled in loose waves. Mila took a deep breath, steadying her nerves. "I'm ready," she said, more to herself than to Barbara. The wine bar was dimly lit and cozy, with soft jazz playing in the background. As they entered, Mila felt every eye turn towards them. She stiffened, waiting for the judgmental stares or cruel comments. But they never came. Instead, the patrons quickly returned to their conversations, paying them no more attention than any other pair of women out for the evening. They found a quiet corner booth and ordered a bottle of red wine. As the evening progressed, Mila felt herself relaxing. The wine loosened her tongue, and she found herself laughing and chatting with Barbara as easily as she did on their morning runs. "I can't believe we're doing this," Mila said, taking another sip of wine. "If you'd told me a year ago that I'd be sitting in a bar dressed like this—" Barbara reached across the table, squeezing her hand. "You've come so far, honey. I'm so proud of you." As they were finishing their second bottle of wine, a handsome man approached their table. "Excuse me, ladies," he said with a charming smile. "I couldn't help but notice you from across the bar. I was wondering if I could buy you a drink." Mila felt a moment of panic. This was a complication she hadn't anticipated. She looked to Barbara for help, but her friend just smiled encouragingly. "That's very kind of you. Mila said, trying to keep her voice steady. "But I'm afraid we were just about to leave." The man looked disappointed but nodded politely. "Of course. Perhaps another time. Have a lovely evening, ladies." As he walked away, Mila let out a breath she didn't realize she'd been holding. Barbara chuckled. "Look at you, turning down handsome strangers. You're a natural, darling." They left the bar shortly after, giggling like schoolgirls as they tottered down the street in their heels. As they waited for their Uber, Mila turned to Barbara, her eyes shining with unshed tears. "Thank you," she said softly, "for everything. I don't know where I'd be without you." Barbara pulled her into a tight hug. "Oh, honey, you don't need to thank me. This is what friends are for." The Uber ride home was a blur of laughter and drunken chatter. As they pulled up to Mila's apartment, Barbara helped her out of the car, steadying her on her wobbling heels. "You gonna be okay getting up to your place?" Barbara asked, concern evident in her voice. Mila nodded, then immediately regretted it as the world spun. "I'll be fine. Just need to take these shoes off." Barbara watched as Mila fumbled with the straps of her heels, finally kicking them off with a sigh of relief. "There," Mila said triumphantly. "Much better. Text me when you're inside, okay?" Barbara said, giving her one last hug before climbing back into the Uber. Mila waved as the car drove off, then turned to face her building. The walk up to her third-floor apartment seemed much longer than usual, but she finally made it, collapsing onto her couch with a contented sigh. As she lay there, still in her dress and makeup, Mila couldn't help but marvel at how much her life had changed in such a short time. From secret crossdresser to proud Mila out on the town. It was more than she ever could have hoped for. With a groan, she forced herself up off the couch and stumbled to her bedroom. She carefully hung up the dress, removed her makeup, and slipped into a silky nightgown. As she drifted off to sleep, a smile played on her lips. Life was good. The next morning, Milo woke with a pounding headache and a mouth that felt like it was stuffed with cotton. He groaned, rolling over to check his phone. There was a text from Barbara. "Hope you're not feeling too rough this morning, Princess. Same time for our run tomorrow." Milo smiled despite his hangover. He typed out a quick reply. "Wouldn't miss it for the world. Thank you again for last night. It was magical." He set the phone down and pulled himself out of bed, padding to the kitchen for a glass of water and some aspirin. As he waited for the painkillers to kick in, Milo found himself reflecting on the previous night's events. It had been exhilarating being out in public as Mila. The fear and anxiety he'd felt initially had given way to a sense of freedom and joy he'd never experienced before. For the first time in his life, he felt truly authentic, truly himself. As the weeks passed, Milo found himself living a sort of double life. By day, he was Milo, the unassuming office worker. But in the evenings and on weekends, he transformed into Mila, exploring the city with Barbara by his side. They tried new restaurants, went to art galleries, even attended a few drag shows. Each outing built Mila's confidence, helping her feel more comfortable in her own skin. One Saturday afternoon, as they were browsing through a vintage clothing store, Barbara turned to Mila with a serious expression. "Have you ever thought about telling your family?" she asked gently. Mila froze, her hand hovering over a sequined jacket. The thought had crossed her mind, of course, but it always filled her with a sense of dread. I don't know," she admitted. "I'm not sure how they'd react." Barbara nodded understandingly. "It's a big step," she said, "and only you can decide if and when you're ready. But I want you to know that whatever you decide, I'll be here to support you." Mila felt a rush of affection for her friend. "Thank you," she said softly. "I don't know what I'd do without you." As they left the store, purchases in hand, Mila found herself lost in thought. The idea of coming out to her family was terrifying, but there was a part of her that longed for that level of honesty and openness in all aspects of her life. That night, as she updated her blog with details of their shopping trip, Mila found herself writing about the conversation with Barbara. She poured out her fears and doubts, her desire for acceptance, her uncertainty about the future. The response from her readers was overwhelming. Messages of support and encouragement flooded in, many sharing their own experiences of coming out to family and friends. Their stories ranged from heartwarming tales of acceptance to painful accounts of rejection, but the overwhelming message was clear. Being true to oneself was worth the risk. Inspired by the outpouring of support, Mila made a decision. She would tell her family. Not immediately. She needed time to prepare, to gather her courage, but she would do it. Over the next few weeks, Mila threw herself into preparation. She researched, reading everything she could find about coming out as a crossdresser. She role-played conversations with Barbara, practicing what she would say and how she would respond to different reactions. Finally, she felt as ready as she'd ever be. She chose a date, her parents' wedding anniversary. They always had a small family gathering to celebrate, and Mila decided this would be the perfect opportunity. All her loved ones would be in one place, and the celebratory atmosphere might help soften the blow. The night before the big day, Mila could barely sleep. She tossed and turned, her mind racing with all the possible outcomes. What if they rejected her? What if they never wanted to see her again? In the early hours of the morning, she gave up on sleep and reached for her phone. Without thinking, she dialed Barbara's number. "Hello?" Barbara's voice was groggy with sleep. "I'm sorry," Mila said quickly. "I shouldn't have called so late. I'm scared, Barbara." There was a rustling sound, then Barbara's voice came through clearer. "It's okay, honey. Talk to me. What are you scared of?" And so, in the dark of night, Mila poured out all her fears and insecurities. Barbara listened patiently, offering words of comfort and encouragement. "Listen to me, Mila," she said finally. "You are strong, you are brave, and no matter what happens tomorrow, you will still be you. The wonderful, beautiful person I've come to know and love. Nothing they say or do can change that." Mila felt tears welling up in her eyes. "Thank you," she whispered. "I don't know what I'd do without you." "You'd be just fine," Barbara said firmly. "But lucky for both of us, you don't have to find out. Now try to get some sleep. You've got a big day ahead of you." The next day dawned bright and clear. Mila stood in front of her mirror, carefully applying her makeup. She'd chosen a conservative outfit for the occasion, a knee-length floral dress with a high neckline and three-quarter sleeves. She wanted to present as Mila, but she didn't want to overwhelm her family with too dramatic a transformation. As she put the finishing touches on her lipstick, her phone buzzed with a text from Barbara. "You've got this, princess. Remember, I'm just a phone call away if you need me. Love you." Mila smiled, feeling a surge of courage. She could do this. She had to do this. Thanks for watching. Check out Patreon if you want to have early access to the other parts. If not, it will be online in a couple of days.